What's up, YouTube? And welcome back to the Love Cup. Today we're going to be looking at a old Metamon. It's very sad to see it go, especially after we all invested so much into it. If you didn't, lucky for you. And that is XL Lickitung. And XL Lickitung is actually back in a big way in the Love Cup. I think it's ranked like 11 or something like that. It's really up there. And considering there are only like 15 Pokemon in this limited meta that we have on for 2 weeks, I figured we'd take a look at it today. We are pairing it with two Pokemon in the back that resist counter because obviously Scrafty and Medi would be an issue on the lead. Kinda. Like, that being said, Lickitung actually doesn't have that bad of a matchup in a Metacham, especially with Metacham's poor pacing now. The lick damage just really adds up because it's super effective. Scrafty obviously is a big issue because lick is resisted and counter is super effective, so you definitely need to get out of that matchup. And then the only other issue for this Pokemon is the normal types, which you can see here: Wigglytuff, Miltank, Licky. I don't think I saw a single Wiggly, but Miltank and Licky are absolutely everywhere, so you also need to have your own counter user in the back to deal with those. So kind of using an ABB style team, two Psychic Pokemon in the back, Slowbro and Metacham. So Metacham also an old Metamon. But let's just hop right into some battles. So right away, not a great league, but also not a terrible lead, because Metacham and Licky doing pretty much the same damage here. I tried to go for a catch on my Galarian Slowbro. Is unsuccessful, but they do throw energy anyways. It is a Psychic, which is neutral. And then they come in with a Alomomola. So my opponent is definitely going to maintain switch here, and that's just because Alomomola has bulk. They'll be able to go for a full farm down and probably be able to take every single one of these charge moves, no problem. It looks like I will get to one more, which is pretty nice. And then I can just absorb this energy on my own Licky, and Lickitung, sorry. And I actually snipe with a body slam to force them to burn a shield if they want to get off the energy. And then they come back in with the Metacham. And the reason I did that was just because they threw their energy on the Metacham, and Lickitung doesn't have that bad of a matchup here. I don't know how many times I said Licky instead of Lickitung, but I'm probably going to do that a lot. But we're actually win the lead matchup. And then they come in with a Bruxish, and because that's a confusion user, that also allows us to get off a couple of licks and a body slam. So now, even though we have a pretty negative matchup in the back here, these counters are still going to chip, and we make a Psychic Fangs catch, which is huge, because now we are not debuffed, which means these confusions are not adding up as much. And at this point, I can just go for a one shield farm down. Psychic Fangs, we will shield that up, get the full farm down, and then it's just that Alomomola in the back. We could probably make it to 2 moves before they can make it to 2 moves, or get the farm down, and it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to get to 2 dynamic punches, and even though that terrible new pacing on the Metacham, we're still able to take that win. Okay, into the next match, we've got Rotom. That's a pretty cool pick for my opponent. They come in with Licky. Obviously, we're going to have an answer for that. This could be running Shadow Ball. It's always a possibility that they hit me with a super effective Shadow Ball here. And they actually bait with a Body Slam, which is a bit interesting. At this point, I'm just going to go for a Dynamic Punch and either force the KO or grab a shield if they want to get off this energy. And even if it is the Shadow Ball, right, if I lose this matchup, it's not the end of the world, because I can just come farm down with my Slowbro and then up energy. Those brutal swings will be doing a lot of damage, but it is just easier for me to maintain switch, and if we're going to remain at shield parity, may as well keep it that way. And they actually come in with a Scrafty instead, maybe trying to catch a blind Psychic, but we do hold on to our energy and get off that Dynamic Punch. And then this means we can just align our Slowbro on this, which is pretty nice. This could be a super effective foul play, so I will shield this up, and it is. And are they going to get out of this matchup? No. So I'm just going to get off this Scald. This probably won't be enough to take out, but I will put them deep in the red. So I actually snipe with Lickitung there. And now it's just Lickitung versus Rotom. Rotom being an Astonish user, and with these super effective licks, this is not going to be a close matchup. It actually takes that Power Whip pretty well, all things considered. I think this thing can learn Thunder. or Thunderbolt as well. And we are easily able to survive that and take that win. So cool Pokemon. I don't know. I think that was showcased by maybe it's Axon. But yeah. Good lead in the next match. They come in with Metacham. We're going to answer with our Slowbro because they are on counter. They're not on Psycho Cut. If they're on Psycho Cut, you can honestly just stay in with Lickitung because I think that's a more dominant matchup for the Lickitung. And they do go for a Psychic, but as we can see in the bottom left corner there, it is 10 to a Psychic. So even though we switched in a little bit late, we will still be able to outpace even though we went for a Scald and a Brutal Swing. And now they bring in their own Slowbro. They didn't even test who wins CMP there. So gonna get off this Brutal Swing. They shield that up, which is pretty interesting because I can get to another unless they throw. Clearly they know they win CMP because they throw on CMP. And that does get the knockout. But now we can just realign our Lickitung on their Slowbro, and they come in with a Scrafty in the back, and then we have a dominant matchup here with Metacham. So winning the alignment on all fronts here, and I know I can survive 2 moves here, or 1 move, and even if this KOs, they'll be short on energy. And they actually are running Acid Spray bait, and they throw their energy. So at this point, I'm just going to save 2 shields for my Lickitung, and a Lickitung will be able to absolutely run through this Slowbro. I should have looked up which actually is better damage for energy now, Body Slam or Power Whip, and my opponent realizes there's no way they can win this match, so they just resign, or they just go AFK. But yeah, I'm actually not sure. I should probably look that up after I record this video, just because I was just kind of throwing them interchangeably, just whichever amount of damage I needed. Obviously in this matchup, neutral Body Slam as opposed to resisted Power Whip, but my opponent is also running Scald, but fortunately for me, they switch out after throwing, and they come in Miltank. We have a great answer in the back, and it is a Thunderbolt. It looks like we can survive 2 of those, but I am going to try and force a shield out of my opponent. We do get it, which is great because we can survive another one, and these rollouts are resistant, so they're not going to be able to farm us down. So they do full send the rollout. And it looks like they are going to get to a Body Slam, unfortunately, so we can't quite get the full farm down, but if they want to win this, they'd have to go down 2 shields, and they don't. They come in with their Slowbro, which is great because now we can align my Lickitung, and it's a Licky in the back. So this is likely a bait, but at this point I need to use shields on my Slowbro. It is the bait. I'm just going to go for a Scald, trying to get that lowering of the attack. That way we can survive either a Shadow Ball or an Earthquake, and we actually get it. So that's huge because now that means we don't have to use a shield here, which is really nice. We can save that shield for a Lickitung. Earthquake just about does not KO, which is huge because that means we can get a Brutal Swing off here. They let that go. They come back in with their Slowbro. I do kind of have to shield this even if it is a Brutal Swing because these Poison Jabs will add up. And it looks like we did throw on CMP, unfortunately, but that is fine because that means we can just throw 1 in the move on the next Body Slam, and then it's just going to be a race about who can get the fast move farm down or to the next charge move, and then we get there on CMP, just barely losing that matchup. And the Brutal Swing doesn't KO. Holy. Okay, I should mention, you see the IVs of my Lickitung on the side. You would think that's an under-leveled Lickitung or an underpowered level Lickitung, but as you can see, the CP gets there. Let's see what it says. Yeah, oh, I didn't even see it, but it's there. It's all the way at the top. Anyways, we bait out in this. We have a terrible lead in Scrafty. We bait out a Skeledirge, going for the Scald in case they tried to no-shield a Brutal Swing because that only does 50%, and they do, which means we can get the Poison Jab farm down. Anyways, yeah, as I was saying, my Lickitung is a rank 4 level 50.5, so it is best buddy boosted, and that's how we get that extra bulk, and that extra bulk came in clutch in that matchup. Obviously not in that matchup, the last matchup, because they just instantly quit. This one comes in with a Skeledirge, and we don't have a great answer. I tried to catch a Disarming Voice, but I was unsuccessful. Obviously they wouldn't go Shadow Ball on my Lickitung. But then they bait with a Disarming Voice on my Slowbro. I was ready to just sacrifice and then go for the Lick farm down. But fortunately for me, they bait, which is huge because now I'll be able to make it to 2 brutal swings before they can get to 2 moves. So they have to let that go. And now they come back in with their Alomomola. Alomomola, Lickitung is a pretty neutral matchup, so I'm surprised they got out when they did. Obviously, we do have the super effective power whips, but it takes a little bit to get there. 17 turns. But then they have a Mag Cargo in the back. We respond immediately with the Medicham. I don't really want to get overheated here, so I will respect this. And it's a Stone Edge, so maybe my opponent on double rock moves here. But we are able to get it pretty much into farm down range here. And they actually let it go, so going 2 shield Alomomola, and then they resign the match, so we're not really sure what my opponent was doing there, but able to take that win. Licky. This is a bad lead, obviously, so we're going to get into our safe swap in Slowbro. What I like to do is throw right away, because if you throw right away, it's actually on good timing because of the 1-turn switch, and that burns the switch clock, which is huge. And then they come in with their own Slowbro after not throwing energy, which is huge, and we win CMP, and they shield. So I'm going to shield back because I'm wondering why my opponent is instantly shielding when they can survive 1 move. Knowing that we win CMP, so we're always going to be able to match shields. Unfortunately, even though after these poison jabs, they're still not going to be in brutal swing range. So I probably should have just let that one go, but it would have probably put me low, but not quite KO'd. So they would have gotten like a poison jab farm down, and I didn't want to take that energy. So I'd rather just let them take me out here and then get the lick farm down and not let them get to another move, because this energy will be useful against the Licky here, and they actually throw all of their, if they throw an Earthquake, this is all of their energy, and they throw it on my Medicham, which is pretty nice. And then they have their own counter Medicham in the back, but we have an energy lead here, I believe by 2 counters, so able to get off that Psychic. It looks like 1 Psychic will be enough to KO, but as we've seen between Lickitung and Medicham, this is actually more of a neutral matchup than you might expect. I do lose count here, unfortunately, or maybe it's just a power-up punch because they did throw kind of early, and that lets me get a full lick farm down, which means I come out with loads of energy. Looks like a power whip plus a body slam, and they have no energy, so I can just go for all these charge moves, and fortunately we will be able to take that win. So Licky, not a Lickitung counter confirmed. Slowbro, this is a good lead. Actually, I believe the Sims say that Slowbro wins that matchup, which is pretty interesting. I believe it has to be on Surf. Probably requires a brutal swing bait. But anyways, they come in with a Licky. We respond with a Medicham. They do successfully get off a Shadow Ball, and then they go straight Body Slam, which will not KO. So I will just grab a shield from my opponent and then lose the middle matchup here, which is fine because we're still able to get it deep into the red. And then I can just come in Slowbro, shield up the 1 move here, and then go for the full farm down, come out with an energy lead, so that way my opponent doesn't really have anywhere to go with their own Slowbro. But yeah, I believe the Sims say that Slowbro wins against Lickitung in the ones, which is actually not true if you have the rank 4 level 50.5 best buddy boosted Lickitung. So coming in clutch there, to be completely honest. I am not going to risk who wins CMP here because my opponent is using a shiny, so I have a feeling that it probably doesn't have the most optimal IVs. So I actually catch the next brutal swing on my Lickitung, and now what is in the back? They actually let me get a little bit of energy lead, but that's because they have a really hard answer in Scrafty. This can only be a power-up punch, but still, there is pretty much no way we're getting out of this one. Looks like I'm going to go for maybe a body slam plus a power whip, or 2 body slams, I guess. Maybe not thinking we would get to the power whip. But obviously this will not be enough to KO. I am able to come in with my Slowbro and snipe with a Scald before they can get to a foul play, which is huge. But my opponent did get an energy lead with their Slowbro before they left. So they are going to get to a move here. Brutal Swing probably does KO from this range. No, leaves me at 1 HP, but 1 more Poison Jab does KO. Lick versus Poison Jab, and Poison Jab just barely able to grab that matchup. Looks like we got a little bit of one turn lag too, which is tough. But able to take that loss. Skeledirge in the lead in the next match. It's not a terrible matchup for the Skeledirge. I think that's pretty neutral because both of our charge moves are resisted. Obviously, Lick is super effective, but they can only go Incinerate plus Disarming Voice. Either way, they come in with a Licky, and we have a great response in Medicham in the back, and they actually let the Dynamic Punch go for farm on their Skeledirge, which is a pretty good play by my opponent. And then I just keep farming because I want them to throw their energy on the Skeledirge. That way they don't come out with energy. And that just allows me to align my Lickitung, get out loads of energy. They have a Medi in the back, and it's on counter, so my opponent realizes they no longer have a win con, and they resign the match. Okay, Slowbro on the lead. This is a good lead for our Lickitung. They come in with Licky and Medicham. So this is that's the thing with this team. Like, I read the meta. I was seeing loads of neutral matchups for Lickitung on the lead. I didn't see many Lickies or Miltanks on the lead, at least. I was seeing Skeledirges, Slowbros, both things weak to the Lick. So that's why I kind of made this read that Lickitung would be safe in the lead. I don't think it would be safe as a safe swap because you can get very easily punished by the counter users or the other normal types. But on the lead, I think it makes a pretty decent Pokemon. Anyways, they look like they're running Crunch, which is pretty nice. Obviously, because of all the normal types, it makes sense to be running that move set. And I do shield the second just because I know they are ABA weak to the Lickitung. And my own Slowbro doesn't really want to see this. So I'm just going to let this go, hoping that I can come in and force them to throw their energy. That way I can just get an energy lead on my own Slowbro. Can we make it to another move is the question. Yes, we can. Pacing on that Body Slam, coming in clutch, and throwing on good timing, and saving it, and they switch out instead of throwing Brutal Swing. That is massive, because now we can just shield this up. I think we can go for the full Poison Jab farm down before they make it to another move. And we can, which means we come out with a Brutal Swing loaded, and we're not in Brutal Swing range. So even if my opponent wins CMP here, we will be able to survive this. And one Brutal Swing from this range for my opponent, they will not be able to survive. So able to take that KO and that win. Okay, I believe this is either the last or second to last match. Another Rotom on the lead. So that's a good lead. They come in with Licky. This is like clockwork at this point. We come in with our Medicham. Even if they're running Shadow Ball, we don't care. It is just the Earthquake. It looks like it'll take two of those to KO. And they just go straight Body Slam, which we know we can survive very comfortably. So at this point, I'm just going to keep farming. And it looks like I'm not quite going to be able to make it to get the full farm down before they make it to a second Body Slam. So I am forced to burn some energy. But that is okay. Are they going to come back with the Rotom? They are. But fortunately, two more counters does get me to the Psychic. And this will do some good neutral trip onto the Rotom. And then we can just come back in with the Lickitung. It's a Scrafty in the back, so aligning our Slowbro on this is great. They don't even farm up to a foul play. I think this is only a power-up punch. Oh, okay, it's a Thunder Punch, but still. That's not threatening, especially with counters being double resisted. We're going to farm up as much as we can, going for the Scald right before they make it to their next move. And we actually get the attack drop, but I am still going to shield this in case they do go foul play here. They do still go straight Thunder Punch, but at this range, I can just go for another Scald, and this will threaten the KO or the last shield, and we actually get the last shield, and then they save it for the Lickitung. So my opponent trying to bring the Lickitung back out so they can get a full farm down potentially, and come out with energy loaded on my Slowbro. I agree that that's probably their only win con, but unfortunately for my opponent, I'm going to come out with loads of energy here. Power Whip, more than enough to KO, and we're able to take that win. Okay, into the last match of the video, Slowbro on the lead. So this is actually a great lead for us. They come in with Scrafty. We have a great answer in Medicham. Why do we come in Medi instead of Slowbro? Because Slowbro can take super effective from the foul plays, and if they're safe swapping a counter user, especially Scrafty, it's likely they're running double counter in the back. And also, even though both root moves are resisted here, I'm going to go for Psychics on the off chance I can get a defense drop. Because a defense drop would make the licks add up even more, which would be pretty nice. Unfortunately, we don't get it both times, but we do come back with the Lickitung. They do have the Medi in the back, but they're actually on Psycho Cut, so that's going to make this match a lot closer. Obviously, no shield the first. Psycho Cuts aren't really going to add up. It's not a hard-hitting fast move. No shield the first in case they get the defense drop. Fortunately, they did not. But now, at this point, we are in Psychic range, so we do have to respect any damage here. They do go Dynamic Punch, which is double resisted and probably wouldn't KO from that range, but they know I kind of have to shield everything here. And I am going for the Scald, and then they come back in with the Slowbro. This could be what, like a Surf, maybe a Water Pulse, Psychic, I don't know. It is the Water Pulse, but that means we can get the full farm down, and we come out with a move loaded, so my opponent no longer has a win con, and they resign the match. So yeah, that is Lickitung in the Love Cup. Honestly, I saw a lot more play for this Pokemon. I think I gained like 115 elo with it. I dropped trying to get Ariados to work, and as much of a core breaker as it is, the rollout users and the fire, it's really hard to make work. And so I dropped like 100 elo trying to do that, or like 200 elo trying to do that, and then gained about 100 back. So that's why you're seeing 2600, even though my last video is like 2700. So still gotta try and make that legend push. It might be the last 2 weeks of the season type beat, because Love Cup is rough and it's very RPS. There's not a whole lot of like super skilled matchups you can make happen, but this team is rather flexible, and I think you can definitely climb with this team if you want to use it. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed, and until next time, peace.